Yeah. What is up, TFA fam? Hope you're all doing well. It is the Week 9 Fantasy Ranking Show, a.k.a. the Start-Sit Show, a.k.a. the 3-hour marathon question and answer show. Hope you're all doing well. We're gonna dive into some of the news and notes that we missed from since our Sunday show with the first look at waivers, and then we're gonna start talking to you guys. Get some questions, get some conversation flowing. We have Abraham Pena in the chat just bragging, traded Boston Scott for Kenny Golladay. That's a nice way to start your week. So, Kev, say what's up to the people, and then we'll jump into it, man.
Yeah, this week is already starting off fucking fantastic. All these fucking players, Stafford got put on the COVID list. The whole entire 49ers team seems to be rolled out tomorrow. They're going to be out here rocking with Trent Taylor as their wide receiver one. River Craycraft, if you are, I don't know, that may be how you pronounce his last name, but excellent name choice though. River, that's a good name. Or it could be Kevin Smith. Who knows? Or Kevin White. Kevin Smith is a few years prior to that with the Lions.
Maybe it will be Kevin Smith.
But this team is fucked. No George Kittle, no Brandon Ayuk, no Deebo Samuel, no Jimmy Garoppolo. So yeah, it is a bunch of who's who. I was looking at the old showdown slate for tomorrow night on DraftKings, and you can pretty much play whoever you want because all the 49ers wide receivers are $200 and $400. So
you go and River Craycraft in the captain spot or what?
He has. I went and looked because I was wanting to see if I could figure anything out, and he has played a little bit this year. He has one reception for 44 yards, so there is that.
There is that. Let's answer this question for New Life here first, and then we'll jump into the rest of the COVID news and injury updates that we have. Wants to know Claypool or Mike Williams in half PPR. Oh, I see the lights going. Kevin's pulling up those graphics. What do those rankings say, Kevo?
It is back to back. I got Claypool at wide receiver 3, and then at 5, and then I have Mike Williams at 6. So in a PPR format, yeah, I would probably lean though. Because this is half point PPR, I would probably lean a little bit more towards Mike Williams just because I think volume you probably could project a little bit more to be there for him.
Yeah, I like. I mean, neither matchup you really have to worry about all that much. I could see a scenario with the Steelers where they just get up and just end up playing kind of clock control and keeping, just end up going super run heavy in the second half. So I will also side with Mike Williams in that one. We did miss a question from Abraham. I'm gonna throw up here. We'll get to him. We will then get to the 23 Airman, and then our guy Walito just holding it down, jumping into the Slack chat. If you are not in our Slack community yet, you can always check the description below all the videos, and you can click on the link there, and you'll just automatically join up. Walito has been holding it down for us since the beginning of the year, so we appreciate that. But Abraham has James Robinson, Gibson, Adams, and A.J. Brown. Who should I get in my flex? DJ, Jackson, Harris, Slayton, Deontay Johnson, Marvin Jones, or Shepard. One running back and one wide receiver. So DJ, Jackson, or Harris for the running back.
So we're not going to know anything about DJ Dallas until Friday, or mainly Chris Carson. They said they're going to evaluate him on Friday to see how he looks. If he's not able to go, I have seen some of the fantasy doctors that are out there say that they don't think that Chris Carson will play this week with that foot injury. I don't really think they need him to play, to be honest with you. But so that would change my rankings right now, because right now I'm kind of a little bit tentative. But as of right now, I'd probably still go Justin Jackson going against the Raiders, and then I would go Deontay Johnson.
No love for Shepard. He's looked good since he came back. Or do you just like the matchup with the Cowboys that much better?
Yeah, the match with the Cowboys is fucking mint. It's looking good. I also really like Marvin Jones, even with Matt Stafford out. I still Chase Daniels is at least a functional backup quarterback who will be the starting quarterback for the Lions.
The 23 Airman needs a flex for this week. J.K. Dobbins, Zach Moss, or DJ Chark. Okay.
For me, it's J.K. Dobbins. I have J.K. Dobbins at RB14 this week.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at some of the comments to see if we missed anything. Mark Ingram did not practice again, and again, we always say it. Wednesday practice reports always take with a grain of salt, but the fact that they had the bye week, missed last week, still not practicing. That running game looked the best that it has all year against one of the toughest defenses against the run last week against the Steelers. So maybe it is J.K. Dobbins' season, and maybe Mark Ingram gets kicked to the curb here a little bit. Lito wants to know Damien Harris or Jonathan Taylor, and if you guys missed the buy sell video that we just dropped this morning, go and listen to it. You'll see I put the timestamps in there. It'll take you right to the Jonathan Taylor section. So, Kev, leave a little teaser. Don't go into the full thing. But for Walito, who do you like here, Damien Harris or JT?
I like Damien Harris. I am not, unless you are desperate, which is why I have Jonathan Taylor at RB 36 this week. That's about the only option that I really want to play him as like a bottom end flex option, especially against the Ravens.
Banged up as well. So
allegedly.
Yeah. Hurt my nose. Alejandro wants to know Mark Andrews versus Indy or Ebron versus Dallas.
Mark Andrews. I have Mark Andrews at top 3 tight end this week.
I know Andrews has been inconsistent and disappointing, especially where you drafted him at, but I would also roll Andrews, even though Indy just in general has been a good defense. Again, it's one of those ones that they haven't exactly played a murderer's row of offenses. So the fantasy points per game for across all their positions is going to be a little out of whack. But I would hate myself if I started Ebron and Andrews had one of his 6 for 60 and 2 touchdown kind of games.
Well, also as well, I don't think the Steelers are going to have to do a whole lot on offense, right? Like it's not like Cooper Rush is going to come out here and just put it on the Steelers defense, right? So, yeah, I don't think the Steelers offense has to do a ton in this game. So, that's kind of where I think this game could be much closer, and I really do like this. Exactly what you said about the Colts defense is 100% what I believe. I think people are overvaluing the Colts defense a little bit too much. And if you look at their schedule they've played this year, they haven't played any. This is probably the best offense they've seen. Actually, no, it's not. Maybe it is definitely the best offense they've seen all year, and it's really not particularly close. They've had a pretty cupcake schedule on the offensive side. And in terms of what they've had to play this year. So I think the Ravens just fucking destroy the Colts is what I think. I think this is a nice bounce back spot for the Ravens.
So currently that line opened up as with the Ravens as 3.5-point road favorites in a 45 over under, but that has been bet up to 47 currently. But you have 67% of the money coming in on the over, and it looks like 60% of the money coming in on Baltimore for the spread. What are your thoughts on McCaffrey? You just locking him in, just not even worrying about a plug and play, just toss him in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, I have him as I have him. Well, let's take a look. I have him at RB2. I feel confident with it. He returned to he was at practice today, practice in full. Is exactly what we want to see. I think they were just being caught. I think he probably could have returned last Thursday, but just being confident. We're just being careful with him and giving him a little bit more time to get ready. So they're playing the Chiefs this week. The Chiefs have struggled against running backs all year. And so I think you see Christian McCaffrey take over this backfield. Do I think that he sees the 90+% workload we're accustomed to seeing? No, probably not. I think Mike Davis has done enough to earn a role in this backfield, but I still think you probably can expect Christian McCaffrey to see at least 70% of the touches in this backfield. So,
yeah, I think you're right on that. I think 60, 65, 70% at worst. Abraham wants to know, man, that is a that is an all-star bench there, Abraham. But he wants to know basically Justin Jackson or Deontay Johnson for a flex spot.
I would go Justin Jackson. I just think that this is going to be a much closer game. I think this the Chargers Raiders game is going to be much closer, and so I like going Justin Jackson there.
What are your thoughts on JaMycal Hasty? So obviously we have Tevin Coleman's out, Raheem Mostert is on IR, so McKinnon, Wilson is on IR. So basically looking at McKinnon and JaMycal. Would you feel confident starting him this week?
Yeah, I think it's JaMycal Hasty week. I believe I have him as a RB2 this week.
Oh.
I mean, Jerick McKinnon. I don't think Jerick McKinnon is going to just. I don't think he's going to be the workhorse. I don't. You know, he's still dealing with the tired legs, whatever that means. But JaMycal Hasty saw a lot of work last week, and so I don't think that changes. And this is a really good matchup against Green Bay, despite the fact that they're missing so many pieces. But I still think that JaMycal Hasty, I think, is at least a strong, maybe RB2 / flex option this week. Yeah. Yep. I let it go. Let it rip a little.
So to speak. Yeah, I mean, I think the time
you could try, but the time is probably past to try and trade for Christian McCaffrey, right? That was something you probably should have tried a couple of weeks ago. Now that he's back, I mean, you may be able to get him a little bit cheaper than what you normally would, but I doubt it's much worse. That, especially the state of the running back department right now. I mean, I think everybody is dealing with some sort of injury, some sort of loss right now. So every running back is just so much more valuable. I would be hard pressed of trading a running back if it was me personally, especially one of that caliber.
Yeah, so it looks like they have Zeke and Carson at RB. I don't think you're flipping either of those for McCaffrey. Woods, Robinson, Fuller, Crowder, Gaskin, Ayuk, Edmonds, Drake, Galladay, Kelsey. Do you see anything there outside of the running backs that might be able to get it done?
No,
I think you're going to end up creating a hole.
You need to. Yeah, I mean, but I don't really think you need to. I think you start Edmonds this week. I mean, I guess he's probably looking for another running back. Can you bring that back up? I was trying to. So he's like, well, I guess you're gonna have to rock Zeke this week. I know it doesn't look good. I actually have Zeke pretty low. I almost had him as an RB3, I think. But he is, I think, let's see. Yeah, I have him as a low end RB2 this week. So it's tough to trust Zeke this week. I mean, this is again a terrible matchup against the Steelers, and with an offense that's going to have Cooper Rush. The Steelers are just going to just hammer them all day. They are probably going to just bring the house every single time and say, "All right, Cooper Rush, Zeke, you're not beating us. Cooper Rush, yeah, this is on you, buddy." And so The tough part about this, so you're playing Zeke, but Edmonds is in a great spot. I have Edmonds as an RB1 this week. I really, really like Edmonds this week against Miami. So obviously Gaskin, that's one of the other injuries that came out. He's out for the next 3 weeks with the MRI with the MCL injury. Man, whew.
He probably got an MRI, so you're not wrong.
Yeah, I hit that sauce. I've been hitting that sauce all night tonight. So
that wake up sauce. The 23 Airman has Breeze Wentz, Connor Gurley, Dobbins, Moss, McLaurin, Godwin, Galladay, Reagor, Chart, John Brown, Henry, Tonyan. And then, I mean, if you can do Gurley for Chubb, absolutely, 1,000%. Like, stop what you're doing right now. If that has been sent to you, I would break my phone hitting that accept button.
You might even try to spice it up a little bit and offer more. Like, I don't know if that was offered to you, but if you're wanting to offer it just to try to get the deal done, like offer Todd Gurley and like Robert Tonyan or something, because you don't need 2 tight ends unless tight end premium, which doesn't sound like it is, or Drew Brees. I would rather keep Wentz, but I think you have more than enough depth. Like, there's no reason to carry 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. So blow the guy away. Like, if the guy needs a quarterback, offer him Brees and throw Brees in there with Gurley. If he needs a tight end, which everybody needs a tight end, unless he's lucky enough to have Kelsey or that's probably the list now, right? Or maybe Darren Waller, because Kittle, it sounds like he may be out for the year. Yeah. And so that's another injury that we haven't really talked about. Yeah, he sounds like he's done for the year. So you have Kelsey and Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson. That's probably the list of the guys of the like really the most consistent tight ends right now. Jonnu, but Jonnu's really struggled the last couple of weeks. But most owners are really looking for a tight end. So if you can package, I would throw a little bit more in there to get the deal done, because if you can do that, I think that's actually a really pretty smart move.
Getting that for show. You already said you like Marvin Jones basically no matter who is at quarterback, correct?
Marvin Jones right here. Wide receiver 2, baby.
So is that wide receiver 22 overall?
Yep.
So JB, there's your answer. The answer is yes. Do you think Abraham should trade any of these running backs? Robinson, Gibson, Carson, Mixon, Chubb? Man.
I mean, you don't really need to. I mean.
Well, you did. You did talk about one of these guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to trade one of them, I think maybe a smart move would either be this week or next week if you want to move James Robinson, because James Robinson's schedule is absolutely brutal. If you haven't watched the buy-sell show that we just did that we were talking about earlier, he is one of the guys I was talking about as a sell. Their schedule really is pretty bad the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So if you want to move James Robinson, like, this isn't a bad time to do so, because this offense, especially, there's no Gardner Minshew now. So if you want to move James Robinson, and I think you could actually get quite a bit for him, and it's for a guy that you probably either A, picked up after your draft, or B, you drafted with one of your last picks in your draft, I think it's a smart move to move James Robinson and try to get as much as you can for him right now. Yes, I have him as a wide receiver 3. I know Arians has been all over the place. Vic said, well, he could play 10 plays. He could play 30 plays. He could play the whole game. We don't know, right? But I think he's ready to go. All the reports out of Tampa, he was able to start practicing last week, so now he's practicing in this week. I think you can play Antonio Brown this week.
Yeah, I think the range of outcomes for him week 1 is going to be wide, but with all the injuries, with the bye weeks and everything else we have, with all the COVID shit, if you have to plug in AB, like I feel fine with it. Alex D needs one of these: Fuller, Corey Davis, Mike Evans, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson.
I think I would probably go AJ Brown. Yeah, that's where I would go. I'd go AJ Brown.
Yeah, talking about AB, I wouldn't. Evans has been disappointing the entire year. Now you're adding AB into the mix. It looks like Chris Godwin, he's going to attempt to play. We won't know. He had a full practice, but it was just a walkthrough, so don't read too much into that for Godwin. But I think, AJ Brown and Corey Davis What are your thoughts on Fuller this week? Obviously now with him staying in Houston, where do you have him sitting?
Oh, I did not see Will Fuller. I saw I guess if the Corey Davis was capitalized, I didn't see that. Hey, never mind. I retract that. Thank you for asking because it's definitely it's Will Fuller. I have Will Fuller as a wide receiver 12 this week. Great matchup against Jacksonville, and now he's staying in Houston. Absolutely love this offense. And, I like him. I think Brandon Cooks is in a great spot. Will Fuller, even if you were even a little bit desperate, I think a Randall Cobb could also be in play. As like a low end flex option if you really wanted to. So, it would be Will Fuller. I did not see that.
If you were shopping Eckler, what do you think is reasonable return for him? Walito wants to know. He's been in the Slack chat trying to move Eckler around, hasn't been able to. I mean, the big issue with Eckler is the fact that there's absolutely no timetable for his return. Like it's not a Nick Chubb situation where you're looking and you're saying okay, looks like next week starting to practice again. There hasn't been anything on that front. The last thing that I heard or remember hearing anyway was Anthony Lynn coming out and saying that he's looking at later rather than sooner for a return. So that might be one you just kind of have to either you're going to take a big loss in value or you're just going to have to sit on and hope for some good news or at least any news kind of hinting that he might be coming back and then try and trade him then, because I think if you try and move him right now, you're just simply not going to get the return. What do you think would be a reasonable return? And Walito once and also said preferably another RB.
It'd be one thing if we knew he was coming back.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Might not come back at all.
I will say this on the old Instagram. He actually posted a video of himself running. So he's actually starting to run now, which is, I guess, a positive from where probably things were. But there's still absolutely no update on exactly when he'll be back. It's probably at least another month away, if not longer. So, yeah, but that's why you're not going to get anything for him. No one's going to give you anything because he's hurt. And it's not, again, like you mentioned, it's not like Nick Chubb where we know, okay, Nick Chubb's going to be back in a couple of weeks. He may not be back at all this year. So you trying to trade him you're probably better off just holding him. Hopefully you have an IR spot where, he's not taking up a bench spot, because I just don't think you're going to get anything for him of value. And I would rather just roll the dice and see if he comes back, and if he does, maybe you have him for like the fantasy playoffs or something.
Yeah, we're also streaming on Twitch along with YouTube. All the comments that have been coming in have been from YouTube. Vert is in here from Twitch saying, "What's up? What's up, Vert? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it." YP, the Pata Fada, wants to know, how do you feel about Trent Taylor this week? Obviously, we touched on this game a little bit, but literally all of their receivers are out. Literally all of them.
I mean, I think it's a decent volume play. He's going to see targets. I would be floored if the Packers don't get up quickly in this game. So, and especially in a PPR format, I would be shocked if he didn't go out and see at least 10 targets tomorrow. And if he does, I think expecting something like a 6 for 50 or something like that, and a guy that you're picking up off the waiver wire heap to fill in for this week, I think you could do a lot worse. So I don't mind Trent Taylor. I actually have him as like a wide receiver 3 this week, a low end wide receiver 3, just because I think volume will be there.
Do you know? Should have looked this up. Who Green Bay's slot corner is? Because obviously on the outside with Jair and did Kevin King go in IR? Either way, with Jair on the outside, Trent Taylor has played most of his slots from this. Most of his slots. My God, we are.
I can tell you. Hold on, I got it up.
Yeah,
It
you
would
do.
be Sullivan, who's been terrible so far this year. He has allowed a 72% catch rate and 1.54 yards or fantasy points per route run. So he has not been very good. He's definitely their worst corner.
Well, there you go. That makes me feel more confident in Taylor than in that case. I also think it is Russ Dwelly season. Alex Shea wants to know who wins this trade: Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Chark for Miles Sanders.
I think it's close, but it'll be Miles Sanders for me. I think Miles Sanders is just going to get more volume. You don't really have to worry about anything. I know there'll probably be some concern that once Miles Sanders comes back, is he going to get return and get the same volume that he was getting prior to? Because Boston Scott was basically doing absolutely nothing there those last couple of weeks before Miles Sanders went down. But I would still prefer Miles Sanders. But it is really close. Yeah.
But I also wants to know, will AB play good this week?
I don't know. I think anybody telling you anything for one way or the other is guessing. We haven't seen the guy since week 1 last year. So if by all accounts he's kept himself in shape, he was able to return to practice last week. So I still think he's going to be Antonio Brown. And I think there's been some people that have I've seen the places where people have talked about him like he's going to be dust. I think that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And a lot of it will have to do too with I think if Chris Godwin's out, I think you could see a bigger workload for him. But if Chris Godwin's there, I could see them easing him back into action. So, but at the very least, still a really good matchup. You really want to throw the ball against New Orleans. You do not want to try to beat them on the ground. So, I think you could see all three of them being heavily involved in the passing game. So.
Yeah, AB's work ethic has never been the thing that's been in question. So I'd expect him to come in to be as close to football shape as you can be in for, for not playing for over an entire year. And obviously he has a familiarity with Brady for that short stint, and then also Arians as well when Arians was in Pittsburgh. Speaking of AB, Alejandro wants to know AB or Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones.
Plus Kenny this week. This one's coming in from Vert on Twitch. Wide receiver 2, I can either start Slayton or Deontay Johnson, and either Roger or Damien Harris at flex.
I'm going to go Deontay. And then at running back, I'm going Damien Harris. It's a great matchup against the Jets. The Jets have been better against the run than they have been against the pass, but they're playing the Jets. So the biggest thing with Damien Harris has been volume and being able to in game script and being inside and being as long as they're within the game or they are. It's a close game, which they're playing the Jets. Crazy. It is 2020, so anything could possibly happen where the Jets just come out and get up early. But I'm not projecting. I don't think it's going to happen. So as long as that's the case, I think Damien Harris is a really strong RB2 this week.
New Life has a defensive question here: New England or Houston? Leaning Houston because of obviously with the rookie Luton coming in for the Jags. So leaning that way. What are your thoughts?
It's wild that the Jaguars this week have said that they're looking to open up the offense for. I'm like, excuse me, like you're going to throw the ball more?
Yeah,
the quarterback that's never played the game. I mean, maybe it's just coach speak or whatever, but like I don't know. But they seem to like the kids, so it would be New England for me. I think that the Houston defense is terrible. Like it is truly terrible. Now I totally get the play, and I'm wanting to go with Houston because of the fact that they are playing, the Jaguars in that offense. But I think Jaguars have enough weapons to beat you, and where they could put in a couple touchdowns or whatever. I think honestly they're going to try to run the ball. I know that's what they're saying. They're going to try to air it out, but I think with James Robinson, so. As far as on the other side, I know exactly what I'm getting when I'm playing the Jets. The Jets have been absolutely horrific all year. They have lost every single game this year by at least 8 points. And they have, I think, at least 4 or 5 of their games they've lost by at least double-digit points. So I would just lean towards New England.
That is not great, Bob. Obviously, it looks like he's going to be a game time decision. I don't even know if I would trust him, especially in this matchup. Is even with all of the injuries that San Fran has, I think they're bottom 3 in terms of fantasy points allowed to running back. So I really don't want Aaron Jones, even if he doesn't play. But are you intrigued by Tyler Irvin at all? And this goes back to Vert's question with Rojo or Damien Harris. I'm assuming you're not going to play Irvin over either of those guys. But if you were desperate, I guess we should have a conversation about this with, let's just assume Aaron Jones is going to be out. Looks like it's going to be Dexter Williams and Tyler Irvin. Do you have any interest in them? I personally don't, unless you're super, super desperate, like 16-team league. You missed out on waivers or, something like that. That's really the only situation scenario where I would be looking at either of these guys. But how do you feel about this, the Green Bay backfield this week?
I think if you had to play one, you're probably playing Dexter Williams. I don't love either one of them, like you mentioned, but I definitely don't think that Tyler Irvin's going to be like the lead back here in this offense. I think it's going to be Dexter Williams, is who's going to be the guy who's going to get the most opportunities. I do think Tyler Irvin could be he's going to come in and get some pass catching work, but I still honestly think I think Aaron Jones is actually going to play this week. I really do. The fact that he's gotten in limited practices every day this week, it's much more encouraging to me that, especially on a short week. Now, the only way I could see them now maybe is because the 49ers have lost all these players, and so maybe they don't feel that necessarily the need to now play him all of a sudden because all these guys are going to be out. It should be a much easier path to victory. But I mean, the Packers need this win. I mean, they're 5-3. Lose this, that'd put them, I believe, at 5-4, and the Bears could jump them in the standings and stuff like that. So I mean, the Packers need this win, but if they want to go conservative, I can see them staying. But for me, if I had to choose one, it would be Dexter Williams. Would be the guy that I go with.
Zach Moss or Le'Veon Bell?
Zach Moss.
Miles Hafer wants to know flex Judy or Rojo or Jordan Howard if Breida misses. Definitely not Jordan Howard. Don't do that to yourself.
He's a starter?
He's been scratched the past.
I know, but they're not going to have anybody else. So if he misses, I don't even know if DeAndre Washington will have cleared the protocol yet, who they traded for this week. So. Because I believe they have to have 5 consecutive negative tests to be able to join the team. It's the same thing that happened with Le'Veon Bell and why he had to wait with the Chiefs. So Jordan Howard would be literally the only running back they'd have. I guess Patrick Laird, I guess they would have him too. Which
I'm still
anyways,
away from that.
If Jordan Howard, if it somehow was Jordan Howard against Arizona, I would still go probably Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Jeudy there as well in that matchup against the Falcons. Daniel is in the YouTube chat. Rate the team. How should I improve? Matt Ryan, Hill, Metcalf, Jacobs, Edmonds, Andrews, Deontay Johnson. Benches Ebron, Ayuk, Hunt, Godwin, Marvin Jones, and Darnell Mooney. So it looks like we got Jacobs.
He has 2 running backs?
And then Hunt, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, Hunt. All right, I see that. Okay.
I definitely think you could stand to shore up that RB2 spot. Seems like Kenyon Drake is going to be back at some point. Obviously, Chubb is going to be coming back. Your deeper receiver's fine. Andrews is fine. I wouldn't even worry about another tight end. I think Andrews is a good buy low at the moment. What
So for me, this would be an opportunity. Yeah, I would probably take some of these wide receivers that you have, like we talked about with David Montgomery. I really like David Montgomery as a buy low, and I think he's somebody that you could target. I do know Lamar Miller. I guess Matt Nagy. The Bears signed him to their practice squad, and they said that he is close to being activated for the Bears, but I don't give a shit. It's 30-year-old Lamar Miller who's absolutely dust. The Patriots released him. There's nothing there.
Is Joe Mixon a good buy low? Walito did not see him in the video. I think he is. I actually had Mixon written down, but I think the Steelers are definitely coming up, and I think they had like another so-so to bad matchup there as well. So I was going to wait to actually put him in, but I think if you can buy him low, definitely go ahead and do that. But I think there might be a window to buy even lower after some of the matchups. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So their matchups, it is brutal. So they get Pittsburgh coming off their bye, so they're on bye this week, and then they do play the Steelers, and they play Washington, who's been really good against the run. And then they get the Giants, the Dolphins, the Cowboys. So they get 3 straight, plus matchups. But then you get the Steelers in the playoffs, which, and then after that you get the Texans. So their remaining schedule, once you get past these 2 games, the Steelers and Washington game, the Giants, the Dolphins, and the Cowboys are great matchups. And then you have that rough matchup against Steelers again. And then they get the Texans in the fantasy championship. So yeah, I think he's actually a pretty solid, buy low.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, you could probably wait until after they play the Steelers because I don't see that going too well for the Bengals. Anthony Acosta joins us again. Jonnu, Reed, or Jimmy Graham. That is going to be Jonnu for me. David Johnson or Hasty from JoJo.
It's David Johnson for me. I like this matchup against the Jaguars this week. So,
yep.
David Johnson has kind of quietly. I mean, the peripheral numbers are there for them. A lot of it has been some of the facts of the matchups they've been dealt. But this is a great matchup against Jacksonville. So you look at, David Johnson right now is 5th in opportunity share among running backs right now. He's still being targeted. He's 25th in targets, but where's route runs? I just had that. He's 3rd in the league in routes run, which is great for running back. So there's a lot to like with David Johnson. He just hasn't, he's 22nd in fantasy points per game right now. And so that's pretty much what's kind of hurt his production. He's still 17th in rushing yards. He's 16th in receiving yards. So he has 4 touchdowns on the year, but I kind of like David Johnson. David Johnson is another running back, much like David Montgomery, that I think that you can buy. That's not going to cost you a whole lot. Like those are the players people should. Anytime when it comes to like buy sell, what I most often see is people always want to go out and try to acquire the Christian McCaffrey or the super sexy stud, right? And those guys are always going to take so much more to acquire, and you're going to have to give up so much more to make that happen. And I think you're just better off trying to get a guy like a David Johnson or David Montgomery, and you're not going to have to give up that much to acquire them. I think it provides you depth, and I do think there is some ceiling games coming for these running backs, and especially running backs that are getting, like I said, he's getting almost 80% of the opportunities from this backfield. So that's exactly what I'm looking for from a running back, because the volume is going to matter. And so I think once we start getting some of these better matchups for the Texans, I think that's when you kind of see David Johnson really kind of take off a little bit. So again, these are the kind of players that I would rather target because they can come at a better price for you. And I think they can pay larger dividends, because if you're going to go out and acquire Alvin Kamara, you're giving up, a haul to do it, and you're probably just hurting your team more just by getting that one player versus going out and identifying some guys like this that could just be had at a much cheaper price.
Yep, completely agree. New Life has another question: Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins this week?
Derek Carr. Love Derek. So with the Lions now being without Matt Stafford, it is 100% Dalvin Cook smash week, right? They are going to feed Dalvin Cook just like they did last week against the Packers, where Dalvin Cook just carved up the Packers. And I think Kirk Cousins only threw the ball like 20 times or something last week. They didn't need to throw the ball. What was it?
14.
Yeah, that's right. I knew I was going back and forth between the two in my head, but
Mike Zimmer is still hard after that.
yes, he went from 6 to midnight and has not left midnight. Just a hard midnight.
that is Mike Zimmer's Viagra.
I know that's what he said today, that we are a running team. Yeah, that's what we strive to be. And I'm like, I know, because you're from fucking the 1990s. So anyway, but it's Derek Carr. Absolutely love Derek Carr. I have Derek Carr as a QB1 this week. So they get a terrific matchup against the Chargers. The Chargers have not been good against against opposing quarterbacks. They are allowing like the fifth, and they're in the top 5 of the most fantasy points allowed to the position. So I really like this. Is a great bounce back spot for Derek Carr in this passing offense.
You talked about liking Hasty, but do you like him this much? Would you go Hasty or DJ Moore at the flex? Keegan wants to know.
I would go DJ Moore against Kansas City. It's going to be a matchup where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more. Listen, the thing that would scare me about JaMychal Hasty is if the 49ers get down very quickly and he gets game scripted out of the game. So if that happens, then I think that, but DJ Moore, they're going to have to throw the ball the entire game. The Chiefs have struggled against the deep ball this year. And so that's actually what, DJ Moore has been doing more of this year. So I like DJ Moore.
Abraham Galladay is week to week with his injuries, so just pay attention to the practice reports and join us on Sunday mornings whenever we'll be going live again. Whenever we have some more information, especially with the injuries and who's in and who's out, and practice reports and things of that nature, we will be live Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Devin De Sousa, Gurley or Harris?
Motherfucker just slammed my door. I'm gonna beat some ass.
I didn't even see the door open.
It was a different door in the house.
Oh, okay. I thought you only had that one door.
I would go. What was it again? It was Damien Harris and
Gurley or Harris.
It's Todd Gurley for me.
What do you think about this trade offer? Sanders or Chubb?
I think it's super close. I think I would probably stick with Nick Chubb, though. Or not Nick Chubb. Or I don't know. He has Chubb, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yes. Yeah, Devin has Chubb. We'll be getting Sanders.
Let me see something. Because I know the Eagles have a terrific matchup to close out the season. Let me see what the Browns are fucking with. So the Browns are looking at coming out of their bye. They get the Texans, which is a fantastic matchup. And then they get the Eagles, which is a tougher matchup. And then they get the Jags, the Titans, the Ravens, which is a tough matchup. Then the Giants and the Jets. I don't think I would. I don't know. I think I would. I think you could go either way. Like I love both of them. They're both two of my favorite running backs, especially to close out the season. So if I had to lean towards one, I would probably just stick with Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up hem-hawing and going back and forth on this one. So we will just we'll stick with your answer on that one. Chargers, Cardinals, Titans, or Green Bay? So we have the Chargers against the Raiders. Cards going up against the Dolphins. The Titans get... Who do the Titans get? The Bears. And then obviously Green Bay with the practice squad tomorrow night.
It's not the Titans. The Titans have been terrible at getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They just actually released. Why can't I think of his name? Former. What?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
Vic Beasley. They just retired. They just released Vic Beasley. They have not been getting any pass rush on this. So it can't. I'm not messing with the Titans. I know they're playing the Bears, but that's going to be a slow paced game. I'm not messing with that. Definitely not the Chargers. So it comes down to the Cardinals against Miami, against Tua, or Green Bay. I would probably go the Cardinals.
I think it's the right call as well. Because the Green Bay defense hasn't been what they were last year. So, and the Cardinals definitely have some playmakers, although they will be without Kennard, their linebacker, and Byron Murphy due to the COVID list.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tua threw for less than 100 yards last week. Now I don't expect him to make some quantum leap going into his second start. How do you feel about Brandon Cooks this week? This one coming from Anthony Acosta.
I like him a lot. I think he's a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option this week.
Thoughts on this trade? Traded Mostert and T. Higgins for Kareem Hunt and Gronk. I have Kittle pretty deep at wide receiver. So Mostert and T for Kareem Hunt and Gronk.
I think it's a solid move. Mostert, I don't even know how much. He's going to be out for a while. I had been able to stay healthy. I know Chubb is coming back, but even with Chubb coming back, Kareem Hunt will still have somewhat of a role in this offense. I still think on most weeks he'll at least be a flex option. We know the Browns really want to run the football, so.
This is the second one we got from this. This one coming in from Legump on Twitch. Hasty or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
Zachary Chance on Periscope via Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at @FF_authority. Is Ayuk and David Johnson for Kenny Golladay and Antonio Gibson a viable trade? So Ayuk, who's currently on the COVID list, and David Johnson, who you were talking about earlier, as really liking. You like him as a buy low. For Kenny Golladay and Antonio Gibson, which side do you want, and do you think it's close?
I think it is close, but I would actually rather have the Kenny Golladay, Antonio Gibson side.
I agree on that one as well. How do we feel about a healthy Lazard? You came in the right spot if you want to hear good things about Al Lazard, but I'll let you take this question. How do you feel about him? Obviously, he started practicing whenever we did the waiver show. I think he was around like 35-36% roster between ESPN and Yahoo. So still available if you want to go and add him if you have the space to stash him. But Kev, what are your thoughts on Lazard?
No, you take this. This is your moment to shine. That's your dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Lazard is one of my guys. MVS has been doing jack diddly dick during the time that Lazard has been out. Obviously, Adams is still going to get his 12 to 15 targets every game, but I think this offense needs a legit second option. Like I said, MVS has proven that he is not really that. He has not stepped up whenever we thought that he was going to. So if you have the space to stash him, absolutely do that. Lazard is playing really well right before he ended up going on the IR because of that core injury. So if you have the space to stash him, I would absolutely go ahead and do that now. That's Kimchi. Pick 2 PPR. Corey Davis, Cole Beasley, Fournette. Who are you sitting out of these 3?
It's definitely not Cole Beasley. I like him quite a bit.
Yep.
It would come down to Fournette and Corey Davis for me. I'd probably go Corey Davis.
I agree.
I just don't love this matchup for Fournette. That's my only problem.
Yeah. I agree. I don't love it for Corey Davis either, but I like it more than I like the matchup for Fournette. Jake Perms wants to know, should I trade McLaurin and Jonnu for Herbert, Edmonds, and Judy? Matt Ryan, Zeke, Gibson, Clyde, Julio, Thielen, and Cup. So it'll be trading away McLaurin and Jonnu for Herbert, Edmonds, Judy. I would not.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't make that move.
Our favorite Hawaiian is in the building. Kanoa Built is in here. Thoughts on Marvin Jones with Stafford out or roll Mooney?
I would go Marvin Jones.
Would you trade Jonathan Taylor for Melvin Gordon?
Fucking kill me now. I hate both of these running backs. I wouldn't trade him for Melvin Gordon. I wouldn't. You got to be able to get something better than that. I don't hate Melvin Gordon, but I think there's not. I don't think there's a possibility. I think there's a possibility that Melvin Gordon, that Philip Lindsay doesn't take over that backfield from Melvin Gordon. Philip Lindsay has looked better than Melvin Gordon all year this year, every chance he's gotten. So I would go rather offer somebody, even if you have to add a little bit of sweetener into it, and try to, like I said, we've talked about, like David Montgomery, David Johnson, like those guys, Antonio Gibson, like those guys I would much rather have than Jonathan Taylor. Even if I have to add a little bit more into it to get the deal done, like I would be okay with doing so.
Well, it looks like you're wrong there, but I appreciate the attempt. Kimchi wants to know, what do you think about McKinnon? It's not just Ayuk. If you're just joining us now and you have not yet heard, Ayuk, Bourne, Deebo Samuel is going to be out anyway, but he was added to the list. Their offensive tackle, Trent Williams, also has COVID. Obviously, no Garoppolo, no Tevin Coleman, no Mostert, no Jeff Wilson. Can't remember if I said Kittle yet or not, but Kittle is obviously out as well. So what are your thoughts on McKinnon with him and Hasty basically being the only thing left standing in San Francisco?
So if you look at it, so last week they basically kind of played very similar. Jerick McKinnon played 52% of the snaps, but he only had 3 carries. He ran 22 routes and had 4 targets, 4 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. Where Jermichael Hasty played 43% of the snaps, and they were also trailing most of the game to the Seahawks. He ran 14 routes, only had 1 target for 31 yards and a touchdown. And he had 12 carries. So again, I think, I would prefer Jerick McKinnon in a PPR format, just because as we know, he's probably going to be the pass catcher here. He's still 13th in the league in targets among running backs, and 10th in routes run. And this is not a great Green Bay defense, and I think it's a defense you can throw upon. So I think you could probably expect Jerick McKinnon to see 4 to 6 targets at least. And so I don't think he's a terrible play. I think he's more of a RB3 type, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's more in the flex conversation than he is at the RB1 or 2. Speaking of flex, Carr wants to know Manny Sanders or John Brown.
John Brown.
I knew you were going to say that, but I agree with that one, with the matchup that the Saints have this week. JoJo wants to know, man, we keep getting a bunch of questions with some guys that we touched on with that buy sell video. You talked about Adam Thielen being a sell for you. Would you sell for this package of Gibson and Judge Judy for Adam Thielen?
Well, I'm assuming that he's trading Gibson and Judy for Thielen, and no, I would not.
You'd still keep Thielen in that instance.
No, I'm thinking he would be getting Thielen.
Either way, what side do you want?
I do not want Thielen in this move.
Okay.
Just just to clarify with Adam Thielen. So Adam Thielen, as we know, is in an offense that wants to run the football at an extremely high clip. They're only averaging about 29 pass plays per game, which is 32nd in the league. He's 20th in targets. He has, I will say, he does have a target share of 29%, which seems great, which is great for any wide receiver. But once you factor in, though, he's 20th in targets, that is still a very low target number. So just because he's getting so many of the targets percentage wise, but that is still not good because he's not seeing that many targets on a week to week basis. He's going to be tougher to trust with Justin Jefferson entering the offense and getting more and more acclimated and more opportunities, as along with guys like Irv Smith, Dalvin Cook getting targets. Like, he's going to be very hard to trust on a week to week basis. So I think, like I said yesterday, or when we did that video, Adam Thielen is one of the top sell highs, I think, out there.
Andrew Welton wants to know, who do I start in flex and PPR? Darius Slayton, Jerry Jeudy, Manny Sanders. You rolling with your boy Slayton? I'm going to go Jeudy on this one. I just like that. I like that matchup better, and I trust Drew Lock a tad more than Daniel Dimes.
It's really close between Slayton and Jerry Jeudy for me, but I would go Darius Slayton.
If somebody in the YouTube chat wants to break that tie for us, let Andrew know between Slayton and Jeudy. Obviously, Kev's going Slayton. I am going Jeudy on that one. The only thing that we agree on is that it is not Manny Sanders. Jake Perms wants to know, Colts, Bears, or Packers defense. I'm going to go Packers there.
Yeah.
Colts D, Cardinals D, or Giants? Do you want that giant D?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. The Giants D hasn't been terrible, but I would probably still stick with the Cardinals.
Manny Sanders and Debo for T. Higgins. Thoughts on that trade coming in from Karn?
I would probably hold Sanders and Debo.
Yeah. Sanders was doing really well up until the COVID got him, and obviously we know what Debo has to offer whenever he is healthy. I think I would hold off on that too. I think I'd go Manny and Debo. Rajveer, I hope I said that right. Looks like has some music. I have to check that out. Maybe we can use that for some intro music or something. That'd be a little collab in here on the TFA YouTube channel. Traded Amari and T. Higgins for Claypool. Current receivers are Lockett and Ridley.
You gave up too much.
Yeah, I don't think you had to give up both of those to get Claypool.
I mean, I get it because Amari doesn't. I mean, what value does he have anymore? Because with how bad this offense has been, but I still think like T. Higgins for Claypool should have been enough.
Yeah, and I think I'd prefer T. Higgins to Claypool. Think you have overspent there a little bit, Rajveer. Jeremy Song wants to know, Lindsay or Melvin Gordon. We touched on this a little bit. I talked about Philip Lindsay as a buy in our last video. We must have touched on some good guys in that video. We were both going Lindsay there. Kevin and I are both in the same bandwagon on that. Thoughts on Henderson moving forward? I did see that McVay came out today and said that he should be fine. I guess he just had a little bit of a quad contusion, a little bit of a quad issue. So he's going to be okay going forward. This is for a PPR league. What are your thoughts on him in general? And I guess that entire Rams run game?
It's a straight avoid because it's just a 3-headed fucking disaster. I think Darrell Henderson has the best value of all of them, as long as provided he comes back and actually gets to keep his job, because he was trending upwards as a guy that I felt like that was really starting to be kind of the guy to own there in that backfield. But it's just tough to trust with all three of those running backs back there. So. Yeah, I guess real quickly we could probably roll through all these and actually put them up, the rankings. So this is the QB1 rankings right here. So obviously, we don't have to discuss Pat Mahomes, Russ, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray. Those guys are all in great matchups. I love Justin Herbert. Like I said, I love this matchup against the Raiders. I love the Raiders side of it as well. I think this game could be one of the highest scoring games on the entire weekend. So I really like Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has done a really great job most of the year. Lamar Jackson was tough because I really wanted to put him higher because I think that he can outscore some of these guys. But man, all these guys, Mahomes, Russ, Deshaun, Kyler, Josh Allen, Herbert, all of them are in great spots this week too. So Lamar Jackson's a little bit lower. I would like to put him a little bit higher, but I still feel good about him. Big Ben going against Dallas. I kind of went back and forth on him just because I don't think they're going to have to throw the ball that much. And so I can see that lower his ceiling a little bit. The other obvious guy on here is Derek Carr. We've already talked about, I love Derek Carr. 4 of his last 6 games have been 20-point performances. If you go back and look at last year with Derek, or not last year, last week with Derek Carr, that was that brutal win game where there was 40-mile-an-hour winds. So that is, I think people probably jump off the Derek Carr bandwagon, or a little hesitant to use him. I wouldn't at all. I think Derek Carr, they're going to be inside the dome. Love Derek Carr this week. The QB2s, Ryan Tannehill was really close for me of having him in that QB1 range. But I did not. I stuck him here as a back end, or as a top of the end QB2. It is against the Bears. I think it's going to be low pace, but you can throw on the Bears. So a little bit more, I think a little bit easier than you can run on. So I do like Tannehill. Cam Newton, this is a tough one. I went back and forth on where I want to put him this week, because I think that against the Jets, you look at this matchup, he can certainly run on the Jets, and I think that's his path to real relevance. They still don't really have any pass catchers here of note. They did trade for Isaiah Ford, who I think could be an interesting guy down the road, but not anybody that I'm concerned about right now. Drew Lock, I like Drew Lock quite a bit. I really thought about having him as a QB1 this week. They are playing Atlanta. I think this is going to be another fun matchup. He kind of turned it on in the second half of last week, where he threw for 200 yards and three of his touchdowns came in the fourth quarter. So I do like Drew Lock and the pass catchers here in this game against Atlanta. Teddy Bridgewater goes against Kansas City. Drew Brees, this is a tough one too, because getting Michael Thomas back probably gives him a bump. But the Buccaneers defense has been amazing. They are number 1 in pass DVOA, number 3 in rush DVOA. They've been really good on defense. So that's why I have Drew Brees a little bit lower. Kirk Cousins, this is kind of gets to that kind of gross range of he's kind of at that bottom end or the top end of that, because unless the Lions and Chase Daniel is able to do anything to push the football down the field and keep this game somewhat competitive, I don't think Kirk Cousins has to throw the ball that much. But it is a good matchup. Nick Foles, Daniel Jones, Tua, Phillip Rivers, Kyle Allen, Nick Mullins. Like all these guys, I really would hate to have to ever play them. But if you absolutely had to, I understand.
Take a deep breath there. Wet that whistle. Get a little bit of that keep me up juice that fuels the fantasy wrath fire, and then go ahead and wax poetic on these wide receiver rankings, and then we will jump back into the into the questions.
So wide receiver is simple. So you got Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins. Like I really don't need to spend too much time talking about these guys. They're all in fantastic spots. Will Fuller, Terry McLaurin, love both of those guys. McLaurin is somebody that I would love to try to buy, even though you're probably gonna have to buy high on him. I don't care. I think he is just an absolute monster. Love Terry McLaurin, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about these guys. Michael Thomas, I know people may have some questions about him coming back from injury, but I'm not really concerned. He is the slant route master. And so, as long as he can go out there and run some slants, I think he'll be fine. But I know this is a tougher matchup against Tampa Bay. I just discussed that. But with that being said, I just think Michael Thomas is kind of matchup proof. So I love Michael Thomas. The wide receiver 2 range, I do have Chris Godwin in here. I put the little stars in there indicating, we're not sure if he's going to play. He did return to practice today. I think he was wearing a cast, but we'll have to wait and see fully if he's going to play Sunday night. But I do have Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 2, A.J. Brown, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore. Like I said, they get a great matchup against Kansas City this week. Kansas City has been susceptible through the air. I know if you look at some of their numbers right now, it'll be a little bit misleading because of the fact that they just came off playing the Broncos and the Jets, two not so great offenses. And so, with that being said, I think both of them are certainly in play this week, and I think they're in good bounce back spots as well. Justin Jefferson, like we mentioned, now with this was probably. I will probably end up adjusting some of this because of the Matt Stafford news being ruled out. This is my early rankings. I will probably go back and look at some of this stuff because I do think now with Matt Stafford ruled out, I thought this game really had to be the potential to be a really kind of a blow up spot for both offenses. And now I'm a little less likely inclined to believe that because Chase Daniel is just not that guy. And I don't think he's going to be somebody that's going to be able to really push the pace in this game. And so I probably will end up lowering Justin Jefferson down a little bit more. As for the rest of them, like I said, I really like Brandon Cooks, a solid wide receiver 2 against the Jags. Marquis Brown, I've already discussed. I think he can torch whoever he sees in that Indianapolis back or secondary, whether it's Xavier Rhodes or whomever. I like Marquis Brown to bounce back this week. Juju Smith-Schuster, and then Mike Evans. It's tough for me when it comes to some of these the Tampa Bay wide receiver core because it's going to hinge on what happens with Chris Godwin. If Chris Godwin is active, then I think that really, really hurts Mike Evans. I think you see a lot more underneath stuff with Chris Godwin and then with Antonio Brown. So I actually had, prior to Brandon Ayuk being ruled out, I actually had Mike Evans as a wide receiver 3. But he was at wide receiver 25 is where I had him. So he was a top end wide receiver 3. And that's how he sneaks back in. So the rest of the wide receivers, DJ Chark, Darius Slayton, Devontae Parker, Amari Cooper. I really went back and forth on how or what I wanted to do with the Cowboys wide receivers. I do think that one of these wide receivers can be relevant. Like we saw last week with Michael Gallup, who saw 13 targets with Ben DiNucci. I think Amari could end up being that guy who sees a lot of targets. And so that's why I have him as a wide receiver 3. I don't love it. I'm highly skeptical, but we'll see. Because it is a really bad matchup against Pittsburgh. Mike Williams, like I said, I absolutely love this game. So I'm pretty high on him, Hunter Henry, and Keenan Allen in the spot against the Raiders. I have Antonio Brown as a back-end wide receiver 3. Christian Kirk, I probably could have had him higher, to be honest with you. I do like this matchup for him going against Miami. They're at home. Mecole Hardman has been encouraging, especially the last couple of weeks. If you even just go back to last week, he really looks like that he might end up being taken off here in this offense, and maybe he's finally taken over as the wide receiver 2. Because there for a while, it was kind of looking like he was still battling it out with Demarcus Robinson, but it was really encouraging to see what he did last week. And granted, it was against the Jets, but still, he played 61% of the snaps, ran 31 routes, was targeted 9 times, 7 receptions, almost had 100 yards, and he had the touchdown. So I do like Mecole Hardman as kind of a guy that you can play as a solid flex option. And then the last 2 options, like I said, I have Trent Taylor as a very bottom end flex option this week because they just aren't going to have anybody else to throw the ball to.
And that's how you do that. That's how you just rip them off. Not rip them off. Rip them out. That's how you rip them. That's how you rip them. We did get some clarity from Rush Veer. He or she received Cooper and Higgins. So traded away Claypool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was good. Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. Either that or we just made them feel really badly about themselves, and they're just saying that so we don't keep roasting them. Trey S is back with us in the YouTube chat. needs 2 of these for full PPR. Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Cooks, Devin Singletary.
I'm going to go Swift. And the other one's tough. I have both. So I have Swift as a kind of a mid-level RB2 this week. And then I have Deontay and Cooks as both wide receiver 3. But they're really, really close. I have Deontay at 18 and I have Cooks at 20. I think if you're looking for ceiling here, I think I would probably go Brandon Cooks. Just because, well, I don't know, because that's also a terrible matchup against the Jaguars. So it's not like they're, I mean, there's, and it's.
Yeah, but like we were talking about earlier, though, with the Steelers pass catchers in general, it could just be something where they just don't have to do a lot.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with my gut here, and I'm gonna go with my rankings. I'm gonna go Deontay.
Thought we were gonna get a live rankings change there. Al Bauer wants to know, is McCaffrey coming back? It seems like it had a practice today. So unless
there's in full,
so unless there's some sort of setback, should be good there. Here we go. This is what we're here for. PPR, Evan Ingram or Ross Dwelly. It's Dwelly season. Who you rolling with here? Obviously, the Giants get Washington, who's been the Washington defense has surprisingly been pretty solid, especially against the run. Obviously, not as much against the pass. But who do you like here? Are you just gonna roll? Are you gonna roll Ingram, or are you gonna kind of flip the script here and go Dwelly?
I'm gonna go Evan Ingram. So the Redskins on the year have not been great against the tight end position. They have given up the 9th most fantasy points on the year. They've allowed the 9th most touchdowns. They've allowed 5 touchdowns, 408 yards to the position. So yeah, I like Evan Ingram.
And he did look better in that last game. More tight end goodness here from Kimchi. Reed, Hooper, Goddard. Rank them in order rest of the season.
It's Goddard for me, and then it's Hooper. I like Hooper a lot too, because that schedule they have coming up, and then it would be Reed.
So just in reverse order of how you type them out there. I agree. Armin K wants to know, need help with the flex. I'm going to go with Crowder, but if you can't play McKinnon or Mike Williams, Amari Cooper is an option, but Armand is saying absolutely no way. Can't do it. Won't do it. So how would you rank those 3 with Crowder, McKinnon, and Williams?
The way you said that was making me think of the Mike Singletary. Can't win with them. Can't do it. I'd probably go McKinnon, but it's close because I do like Mike Williams quite a bit this week, but I'd probably go McKinnon.
I think I'm gonna go Mike Williams. I don't even like Mike Williams, but I love this matchup. And Herbert, man, our guy Jesse at Dynasty Humble SR on Twitter, the Chargers fan, just dropped a pretty fun video talking about Justin Herbert. I like Mike Williams, especially if you were going for ceiling. Electricity Man 1. Herbert or Murray this week, and how do you feel about that for the rest of the season?
Kyler. And Kyler.
Yeah, I agree. L. Bauer, DK or Lockett?
Please respond. Well, we responded. Or responding. So DK is going to see, get the old Tre'Davious White, right? In this matchup against the Bills. It just still doesn't really scare me that much because DK Metcalf might be the best wide receiver in all of football. And people don't know, Cody was DK Metcalf's biggest fan. And I will say, I do from time to time get stuff wrong, and I'm gonna come to the table and admit we did a I don't even want. I'm telling on myself right now, but we did those throwdown videos over the offseason where we picked two players that were really similar in ADP, and we kind of battled for them. And Cody's was DK Metcalf, mine was DJ Chark. And so we don't have to have this discussion, anymore. We know who won that battle. It wasn't even close. But to Cody's credit, Cody had DK Metcalf ranked as a top 10 wide receiver heading into the season during draft season. So that's how high he was on DK Metcalf, and he nailed it. But for me, it's Tyler Lockett probably this week. Very close. I love both of them. I think I have both of them as wide receiver ones.
Then the other part of this is Electricity Man was saying to try and play both. But L. Bauer was saying that already have Diggs, and Electricity Man is also with you. Thinks it's going to be a Lockett week.
Can you not play with them in the flex? Can you not play them both?
James Robinson in the flex.
Yeah, I may lean towards the wide receiver on that spot. It is a good matchup against Houston, but my question becomes if Houston just throttles them, which is certainly possible.
Yeah, but even if they do, I mean, we've seen Robinson involved in the passing game as well. Is Chris Thompson on IR again, I believe?
Yeah, no, he is. You're probably right. I probably would keep the same, but man, that's tough. I can't imagine having to sit Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. Who else is he playing at running back? Who's the other running back?
Well, there's some fun conversation going on in the YouTube chat. Definitely jump in and talk with some of these guys. But here's the L. Bauer calling it the God Squad. Russ, McCaffrey, Eckler, Henry, DK, Lockett, Diggs, Keenan, James Robinson, and TJ Hawkinsock.
I love TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
There's people on this here app, on this here platform that think TJ Hawkinson is overrated and that they think that TJ Hawkinson he's inconsistent. Like I've seen, it has been brought to my attention that there are people on this here app that think that TJ Hawkinson is inconsistent, and I think it's fucking ridiculous.
Could not be us. Ernest Diggs wants to know, in a 10-man league, is Lockett a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2?
I mean, it depends on what you got, I guess, but he's a wide receiver 1 for most people.
Yeah. You probably drafted him as a 2 though, so that is what they call a nice return on investment. Arbello at RB. Who do I start? Elliott, Gurley, Jacobs, Gibson.
I don't know how many you need, but if it's 2, it is Jacobs and Gurley, with Gibson very close as well. So I would definitely sit Zeke.
Yeah, that is the. That is the real takeaway here. Is anybody but Zeke, Tonyan or Trey Burton?
Tonyan.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about that. I that whole, until one of those other Colt tight ends go down, I would not feel comfortable starting any of those guys. So for me, that is easily Tonyan. Kev, you're the Chiefs homer here. How do you feel about Clyde in the flex, or I guess just as a play in general?
I actually went back and forth on Clyde Edwards-Helaire on actually having him as a buy low because I think he actually is. I think people, especially after the last 2 weeks, what we've seen with Clyde, and people are going to assume that Le'Veon Bell is just going to take all the is he going to cut into such a large workload where he ends up not being. I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. I think he's a fantastic play, and the Panthers have been terrible against the run. But if you look, so the last 2 weeks when they played Denver and the Jets, so basically before this week, he's basically had at least 60% of the snaps in this backfield, had all the carries. But the last 2 weeks, he played 51% of the snaps against Denver and only 49% of the snaps against the Jets. 8 carries, 6 carries. Then he ran 17 and 24 routes, 4 targets, 3 targets, 1 reception, 3 receptions. And so I think for people that are going to look at that, they're going to say, man, look, now Le'Veon Bell's here. It's going to kill him. But the problem here is it was because they were fucking destroying the 2 teams they were playing. They didn't have to use them. And so essentially, I mean, Chad Henne has gotten game action each of the last 2 weeks because the Chiefs have just manhandled both teams they played. So I would not be concerned whatsoever with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think this had far more to do with game script and the fact that they were just blowing out both teams that they played and really just this controlled the game. So I think moving forward, as early as this week, I think you see Clyde Edwards-Helaire come more involved in this offense. So I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire quite a bit.
Well, we have these RB rankings up. Excuse me. McCaffrey, Kamara. I mean, if you have both of them somehow, some way, I guess maybe if you traded for McCaffrey while he was sitting on IR, you're not worried about that whatsoever. But I guess maybe if you're trying to make a trade for one of them, how do you feel about the difference, or who would you prefer between these two? I guess rest of season, because obviously here in the rankings they're close at 2 and 3.
I actually like Kamara probably rest of season more than McCaffrey, and because McCaffrey was on pace before he got hurt to only have 57 receptions on the year, which is a massive drop off from what he was doing before. So but Kamara is like having a wide receiver 1 along with a running back, because he is so involved in the passing game. And so I would actually prefer rest of season Alvin Kamara just slightly over McCaffrey.
Hawk or Fant saying TJ is questionable.
I like Hawkinson.
Yeah, obviously, if Hawk is out,
he's not going to be out. He's going to be fine. It's Wednesday. So most of these teams, what they're doing with their players is on Wednesdays they are starting to rest a lot of their guys to give them time off and to give them rest throughout the week. So, like we've said, and we've already said more than once today, who I do not care about any injury report for Wednesday, and people are going to overreact to it. Just wait till Friday. That's the one that matters.
That is correct. Alejandro wants us to rate the team: Murray, Cook, Hasty, DK, Diggs, Marvin Jones, Andrews, and then defense and kicker, which doesn't really factor into anything.
First of all, get out of your leagues with kickers. We do not have kicker leagues around here. I can't answer kicker questions, but
you get an F because you still play with kickers.
You need running back. I mean, if that's all you have, I have to imagine you have other running backs than just Dalvin Cook and Hasty. Because what were you playing before that? But I think it's a solid team. Pretty much. I mean, yeah, I think it's a good team. I would like to know what your bench is, but yeah, I think this is a really good team. You definitely need help at running back. If that's, I mean, I would just curious to know who your other running back is.
With the receivers that Alejandro has, would you rather trade somebody like Diggs and maybe get an RB2 plus, a little bit of receiver help back? Or would you rather trade somebody like Marvin Jones And
he
then
has Chubb. So he has Chubb on IR. So he get Nick Chubb back next week. So I don't think you need to do that.
Huh?
You are going to be sitting pretty good next week once you get Nick Chubb back.
Yeah. John Seiler wants to know, would you trade away Robert Woods for AB and Juju?
Yeah, I think I would.
There's been something about that Rams offense that just not fully clicking. I don't know.
I know what it is. You want to know what it is? His name is Jared Goff. It's fucking terrible. I've said it once. I've been saying it for the last couple of years, and especially as in the beginning, and now even still, there's still people that will disagree with it. And I'm like, he's not good. He's your average NFL quarterback. He's as average as they come. In good matchups, great matchups, he can play well. In bad matchups, he's gonna get wrecked. Anytime he plays a good defense, he gets wrecked. He's just not good. And so I will say this, it's tough getting rid of Robert Woods. Robert Woods last week, he blew up for 28, but for the most part, he's been pretty consistent. He only has 2 games under double-digit fantasy points, but other than that, he's at 14, 17, 19, 11, and 17. He's not somebody that's going to give you a lot of wide receiver. He's a steady floor wide receiver. He's going to give you somewhere in that 12 to 16 range on most weeks, with some blow-up spots here and there. So I don't know. I think you can consider making the trade, especially with Juju. Looks like he's starting to trend up.
Yeah, we touched on that in the video as well from the buy sell. I think that's one of those situations where if you need the depth for whatever reason with COVID, injury, whatever it is, or maybe Bobby Woods is by far and away your best receiver. I think you can make that, but I also, I don't feel like that to me is not a smash, except that's one either way. If John came back on Sunday and said didn't end up making the trade or whatever, I also wouldn't be upset about that. Jojo wants to know Tanny or Newton.
It's close, but I would go Tannehill.
ZD Chance joining us from Twitch. Doesn't want to start 2 49ers. I do not blame you. So would you rather play Dwelly or Taylor?
I would also not want to start two 49ers, and I would go Taylor.
Rank these 3 in order for Kimchi, Corey Davis, Christian Kirk, Mecole Hardman. So it looks like Kimchi already has Davis and might drop somebody to pick up either Kirk or Hardman to flex. We got Corey Davis going up against the
Bears.
Bears. Hardman going up against the Panthers. And then
to me, it's not Corey Davis. I have Corey Davis ranked at wide receiver 42. It's between Kirk and Hardman for me. And so I would probably go Hardman. Just because, the Kirk thing that frustrates me is I think that he predicting this volume, which I guess we could say the same. Both these guys are the same. I could see them getting 8 targets, and I could see them getting 2 targets, right? But they're also good enough wide receivers where they can have a 70-yard reception for a touchdown and get there that way too. So they're super volatile. I just think the Hardman has a better matchup against the Panther secondary than what you would want to face against the Miami secondary, who their outside corners with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are a little bit better there.
Ernest Diggs wants to know, what do you think about JT? Ernest, I will point you to the buy sell video that we did for week 9. Like I said, if you were just joining us and have been rocking with us the whole time, by the way, we really appreciate all the interaction and comments and questions, and you guys talking to each other in the chat too. That's awesome to see. And if you have not yet subscribed, if you're joining us for the first time, I see some new names, which is always a lot of fun for us as well. So if you have yet to subscribe to the Fantasy Authority YouTube channel, please do so. We're on the road to 600 now. Dude, it literally just feels like a week ago we were like, man, if we could get to 500, that'd be pretty cool. And we're already smashing past that. So you guys have been awesome. But JT, I would implore you to just go watch the video. The timestamps from the video, so you can just go right to it, and it's actually sectioned off at the if you pull up the little time bar at the bottom of the video, you'll be able to click right to it. It'll come up and have a title for you.
All I'll say is this: I'll give you a little preview. Is that I am not high on Jonathan Taylor, if you can put it that way. I went on a little bit of a rant about Jonathan Taylor because I'm just so tired of seeing some of the stuff that I've been seeing on the old fantasy Twitter.
Armin, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we didn't really start grinding the YouTube until this offseason. So the pod's been around for like 4 years that we've done. But, we're growing. We're evolving, right? And so, let's dive into the YouTube and start grinding out the YouTube. And there is a lot of content on YouTube. And I think that without bashing people, I think there is room for better content, and that's what we're trying to bring. So,
man, that was a very, in the theme of what's been going on in the U.S. because we have also expanded our listenership outside of the U.S. In the theme of what's been going on, there was a very political answer, and I'm proud of you for going PC there.
Yeah, because I really wanted to say because there's a lot of shit content on this website. That's not nice to say. I shouldn't say that stuff. I'm not going to say it. See, that's not what I was going to say. That's what I was thinking, but that's not what I was going to. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Well, either way, it came out. Ernest has Kamara, Jacobs, Lockett, Ridley, Clyde, and TJ Hawk.
Championship.
Yeah,
like that is a strong team, my friend. Like that is real strong.
Is it a 3-team league?
No, that's a really nice squad there. L. Bauer, who do you think I should put at wide receiver? Diggs, Keenan, Allen in flex instead of Robinson. Why don't we just rank those three for EB there?
Man, I have so it'd be Diggs, Keaton Allen, and then Robinson.
All super close there.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we are coming into the close of the week 9 show. If you're joining us right now and we do not get to your question after the video ends, just add a comment. That way we get a notification and we will get a notification and one of us will answer that for you for sure. We pride ourselves. There are a couple I think that slipped through the crack here and there, but we try and pride ourselves on like a 98% response rate to all the questions. So we always try and get to those for you guys. And like I said, on Sundays at 11 a.m., we will also be going live. NBA Rig joining us on Twitch has been in here before. Appreciate you coming back. I have not seen anything on Lazard. I would not expect him to play. I know.
I think he's saying that he is playing. So let me see.
That is we have the NBA guy in here breaking news to the fantasy football channel.
I don't know. I haven't seen anywhere that he was, but So 7 hours ago, Alan Lazard and Christian Kirksey can still be activated tomorrow if they're ready because it's Thursday game. Packers can make moves day of. So I don't think anything's been. I don't think it's set in stone yet, as far as I can tell. There's still a chance he may not play.
I mean,
even if he does, listen, this matchup isn't one that they're going to have to throw the ball a ton, and so I don't know what his snap, if he's going to be on like a snap count or anything like that. So, I mean, I think because especially with Devontae Adams back, like Devontae Adams is such a target hog in this offense that it kind of crushes and kind of eats away at some of what the other guy's upside is. That's why Lazard's best game, this year came with Devontae Adams out, and so. If I was going to project some sort of stat line for him, I'd probably say, I don't know, 4 for 40 or something. I don't think he's going to play a whole ton if he does get activated. So,
I was going to say right around. I was going to say like 3 for 30. So we're lockstep in that. Danny Lynch joining us. Double question here: if Aaron Jones is out, do we go Irvin or Dexter Williams? You talked about that earlier. You said you would expect that you would go Dexter Williams in this instance, correct?
Correct.
And then Tua or Bridgewater this week at the QB2.
Yeah, I can't mess with Tua. They were just trying to run the ball last week, but they didn't have to. They were crushing the Rams, but yeah, I would definitely go Bridgewater.
Agreed on that. Last question here coming in from Karn. Sitting at 4-4, team is Herbert, Chubb, Dobbins, Moss, D-Hop, Woods, Juju, Sanders, Fulgham, Tanya, John Brown. Who do I package for a decent RB2?
To be honest, you may have it. Honestly, with Dobbins, so here's the thing with J.K. Dobbins. Like J.K. Dobbins, was a beast last week. I mean, just played really, really well. He was exactly what I think a lot of people thought that J.K. Dobbins could be, and a lot of people heading into this year thought J.K. Dobbins could be the best running back from this entire class. He's been explosive in limited opportunities, and now with Mark Ingram out, I don't see a scenario if he continues playing like this that they're just going to go away from him. I just think that would be ridiculous as well if he keeps going on this pace, because if you look at last week, I mean, he had 15 carries, 121 total yards. He only had 2 targets, but they ran the ball 47 times. So I don't know if you necessarily have to, but if you wanted to make a move, I think you could probably maybe Robert Woods if you wanted, or if you wanted to package. I don't know. It's just tough to see. Probably Woods, I think, is an option, or maybe Fulgham. But I'd rather hold on to Travis Fulgham because of that schedule. And so, I think Robert Woods could probably get you. I know I keep going back to the same guys, but David Montgomery and David Johnson type guys.
Wouldn't you rather move Manny Sanders then in that instance? Wait for
but you're not going to get that for him. I mean, Manny Sanders ain't going to get you shit. I mean, Manny Sanders ain't going to get you nothing. You're not trading Manny Sanders for David Montgomery. It's just not going to happen. I mean, running backs are so overvalued anyway. And so, I think Robert Woods, who's a solid wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 2, is what you're going to have to move to make it happen. And, people always have to understand that running back, I mean, I'm not saying I'm talking to you when I say this, running back is always inherently more valuable. And so people, especially to fans, especially with as many as we've lost this year, I mean, the rap sheet of running backs that have went down is ridiculous. So to me, you're going to have to go up a little bit more, but I think it's worth it in the end to be able to get that, because obviously now you're getting Chubb back next week, which is amazing. I think that, with this roster that you have, I think you can definitely kind of turn this around a little bit further and still make the playoffs. I don't think you're that far off. And you may just gamble it and not make any move, because like I said, I think Dobbins could end up being that guy. You're probably going to need some depth. So I think you're really solid at wide receiver, and that's why if you wanted to make a move, even if you wanted to go a little bit further down than that and maybe try to find a couple other guys that I think that could be in play. But, like a Phillip Lindsay, like you talked about yesterday, guys that aren't going to cost you as much. But that's where the David Montgomerys and the, David Johnsons come in. That it's just not going to cost you as much to be able to acquire those guys. You're not going to have to give up as much.
Electricity Man wants to know Murray or Herbert. I will throw up the graphic here. We have them at 4 and 6 respectively, but the answer to that question is Kyler. But we love Herbert here on this here podcast. Last Fish on Twitch coming back in the stream. Appreciate you coming back. Half PPR, Deontay Johnson or Marvin Jones?
Deontay.
Demolition Man. Just smashing shit. Fucking shit up. Start 2. Dobbins, Moss, A-Rob, A-B, Swift.
It's A-Rob and Dobbins.
Tam, rank the QBs. Cam, Ben, and Matt Ryan. I think Cam is going to be last on there. Ben, like we've been talking about, I just don't know how much Ben and the Steelers offense is going to have to do. So I'll go Matt Ryan, Ben, and then Cam.
Well, I am Ben, Matt Ryan, and then Cam.
Are they close in your rankings?
I have Ben at 8, and I have Matt Ryan at 11.
Survivor League question here from Last Fish. Thoughts on Giants versus Washington?
I don't love this game. I think it could go either direction. I do think that I kind of like the Giants, but it's really tough to trust. I think it could go either way where you wouldn't be surprised. I know that's not the most diplomatic answer and straightforward answer, but I just don't think there's like a clear I could definitely, where I feel conviction on it.
So this game has a total of, it opened at 41. It's been bet all the way up to 42, and it opened with Washington as 3.5 point favorites, and that line has moved down to 2.5. So, between those two, would you rather go Lions versus Vikings? Ugh. What?
Stafford did get COVID. He got the Rona. Yep. I would much rather go Vikings here.
We love Kyler here, but Russ is the MVP.
Is he though? Patrick Mahomes has started to make his case again Patrick Mahomes has more passing yards, and I think he's only like 3 or 4 passing touchdowns behind Russ. And so it's getting close. I think it's between them two. I will still put Russ is still the leader for the MVP. I'm not going to take it away from him, but Patrick Mahomes is chasing him down.
For as little consideration as Russ has gotten throughout the years, and he is finally cooking, let him have this. You have the Super Bowl trophy. Let Russ have the MVP. You don't have to have it all.
I would.
I see.
I would drag my balls through 7 miles of hot sand to see the Chiefs and the Seahawks play in the Super Bowl this year. I think that would be amazing. That's probably too much. I probably took it too far with that analogy. I probably could have said something less, but
is that an actual saying? Do people say that? Drag balls through sand? Is that a thing?
You've never heard that before?
No.
So, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to tell. I'm going to tell the story. It's a real quick story. This guy I used to work with back in, I was like 18 and shit before I joined the Navy. I don't know, it was at a hospital, and it was like in the food department, and this nurse walked by, and this older guy that worked there that was like, man, I dragged my balls through 7 miles of hot sand just to lick her ass. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, you old, crusty old man. Anyways, I think we went way too far. I don't know why we were even talking about that. It's way not PC.
I'm gonna have to say I've never heard that, and I've heard some weird ones, some fucked up ones, but I've never heard about anything about dragging balls through hot sand. I mean, if you're moving fast enough, though, I think it would.
It'd be hard to walk unless you just had like really long. You know what I mean? Because like, if think about it, like to drag them through, like I don't know.
But if you're being dragged by something else. Like if you're just laying face down naked in the sand and you're being pulled by like by a motor vehicle. If you're crawling 7 miles in hot sand with your balls hanging down or your lady parts, that doesn't sound fun.
No. Either way, it doesn't sound fun.
Roberto needs the flex. DJ Moore, Hasty, or Damien Harris, 10-man, half PPR.
DJ Moore.
L. Bauer, we agree, but thank you. Inceptivus, who's the best flex? Breida, Travis Homer, or Beasley?
I don't know if Breida's going to play, so I would go Beasley.
If Breida gets in limited tomorrow and then full on Friday, does that change your thoughts?
If I knew he was going to be the starter and he was okay and he got in full practice, I would go Breida.
Looks like we have Walito in here just bragging again. But Arbella, what wide receiver do I start? Parker, AB, DK, Hill, need 3. So which one of these are you sitting?
So DK, Hill, or lock. So it comes down to Parker and AB. I would go Parker.
You're going Parker over AB when you were just talking about you're completely staying away from Tua?
I do have Parker, I think, at wide receiver 29. I think I have him close both in their rankings.
Man, I think I'm going to go AB there. I think with the other two, with DK and Hill, I think that can float you even if AB comes out and only plays like 20 snaps or something like that. So it looks like Danny is in a 2 QB league. Is it worth picking up somebody like Foles, Lux, Cousins to play over Teddy B? So I'm going to need to take a step aside. So why don't you throw up your QB ranks real quick and give Danny some advice here on that QB2.
Yeah, I mean, I have them both really close. I have Drew Lock one spot ahead of Teddy Bridgewater. If you wanted to go Teddy Bridgewater, I think you can. I just like Drew Lock, but for this week, but it's tough because I think, I mean, if this is a 2 quarterback league, I would rather hold on to Teddy Bridgewater for the long term over Drew Lock. So I guess it would just depend. But yeah, I currently have Drew Lock just slightly ahead of Teddy Bridgewater at the moment. I guess it helped if I fucking unmuted myself. That helped. For me, I hope it wasn't on mute the whole time. I'm just here talking. I looked down. I was like, oh, it's fucking muted. So yeah.
Did you answer James' question?
I hope I did. Especially since I had a graphic up. I'm just here talking. I go and look, and all of a sudden I see the red mute button. If I didn't, it's definitely Drew Lock. I like Drew Lock. Just barely over Teddy Bridgewater this week, but I think if it's a 2 quarterback league, is what I said was I would rather hold on to Teddy Bridgewater and not lose him in a 2 quarterback league for the long term. So Keenan Allen for Ridley, I think you could. I'm not exactly sure how long Calvin Ridley's going to be out. It didn't sound like it was going to be a long-term injury. I believe. So I would probably prefer to keep Calvin Ridley, but I also love Keenan Allen, so I don't really think you can go wrong either way. I think short term, obviously Keenan Allen, because Calvin Ridley misses a few weeks, and just kind of pays for himself.
And the foot injury that Ridley has as well kind of makes me a little nervous in terms of a re-aggravation. So I think that with the way that Herbert is playing, I can't imagine that like Keenan Allen. If you go and look at his targets have just been absolutely bonkers. Like I think the fewest amount of targets he had, other than the game where he left early against New Orleans, has been like 8. It's been like 13, 15, 10, 12. Like he's had double-digit targets. So Clutchful, Adam Thielen is a sell, according to @FantasyRath13 on Twitter. And again, we will refer you guys to the buy-sell video that we literally just dropped this morning. And like I said, with everybody else, you can go and look and see the timestamp for his full analysis on that. But what would you be wanting in return from Adam Thielen? Just give a range. Are you looking at like RB2, RB1, RB2, wide receiver 2? Like what would you be looking for in return for Thielen?
Yeah, I mean, if you're hurting at wide or running back, which most people are, I think like we've mentioned, guys like David Montgomery. I keep saying it, but like J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson's, guys like that, David Johnson, those types of players are the guys that I would want to target. And you probably could get a little bit more for Adam Thielen as well out of that move. You move and grab one of those guys, but then I think you could also come back and pick up, a secondary piece. Like a Darius Slayton type or Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, guys who I think that you could plug in as a flex option as well to kind of make up for that. But it really just depends on where you'd be weak at. So if you're really weak at running back, or if you need a tight end, or whatever, I just think that selling Adam Thielen at this point in the season would probably be a smarter move rather than not. And I think you can still get him for quite a bit for him.
Michael LaRocca wants to know Anderson, AB, Hollywood Brown in a PPR.
If we're just doing one, it would be Anderson. You are welcome.
That's what we're here for. James Martin, Singletary, Dobbin, Zach Moss, or Christian Kirk in the flex.
It is J.K. Dobbins.
Love it. Beasley or Parker?
I would lean towards Parker, but in a full PPR, if this is what this is, I would probably go Beasley.
Why is this not? No.
I'm pulling up the wrong one. But these rankings, just again, these are half point PPR rankings. So in a full point PPR league, I would probably raise Cole Beasley ahead and drop Devontae Parker down.
It was not the wrong one. I was pulling this up for NBA rigged, sir.
Well, excuse the fuck out of me.
So we'll leave these up here for a second. Let you look at these rigged. Aldo G Baby, should I drop Gaskins for DJ? So it looks like Gaskins, they're saying he's going to be out 3 weeks with that sprained MCL. That's why they traded for DeAndre Washington. Would you drop Gaskins at this point for DJ?
I think it depends on where you're at, right? So if you're a team that's 4-4, 3-5, you're really trying to claw and scratch to get into the playoffs, I probably would, because you don't have time to wait around for Gaskins to come back and be back, because it could be week 12, week 13 before he's even back. So I think you could at that point, but understand this, that DJ Dallas is probably a 1 week rental.
Agree. And you're not going to, you prefer to drop Gaskins over Rojo, correct?
Yeah.
With running backs, who do you prefer here for a handcuff for Roberto? Madison, Gio, or Jamal?
I would rank it Madison 1, and then Jamal 2, and then Gio 3.
I'm sure this is something you guys are going to be talking about tomorrow on the DGen Nation pod that will be going live around the same time. How do you feel about Gallman's usage this week? Obviously, Freeman is still nursing his injury. How do you think Gallman's usage looks?
Well, one, I mean, he's actually looked pretty damn good. Like, I've been surprised of how well he's looked the last couple of weeks against some tougher matchups. I mean, playing the Bucs is not no easy walk in the park. Like I said, they're number 3 in run DVOA on the year, and I mean, he looked decent. I know he found the end zone in that game. But I mean, the last 2 weeks, he's had double-digit fantasy points. Philly, another really good run defense. He's been averaging right around, about 11 carries per game. He's running about 10 routes. So that's but a lot of his production has also come through that he's scored a touchdown the last 2 weeks. So Washington is another really tough matchup. Washington's run defense is, one of the best in the league because their front seven has been dominating. So I don't mind Wayne Gallman this week. I think he's like a flex option if you need him, but I would temper your expectations, and I think he's kind of touchdown dependent because he's not saying unless he sees what he did week 7 where he had 5 for 54, or 5 receptions in week 7. Excuse me, he only had 54 total yards. Like he's not racking up yardage. It's mainly come from the touchdowns. That's where most of the production's coming from.
Aldo wants to know which flex play is better, Rojo, Gus Edwards, Dallas, or Wilkins. I'm actually going to roll Gus Edwards there out of that group.
I would roll DJ Dallas if Carson's rolled out because DJ Dallas would then, I think because Gus Edwards would be the number 2 running back. Now there are, obviously they're a team that are going to want to run the ball a lot. So it probably would come down to Edwards and Dallas for me. But I would prefer DJ Dallas if Chris Carson's out.
Would you stash Raheem Mostert?
You could if you have IR spots, but I don't think it's critical.
Who's the better fantasy player? We've only played in the one league together last year, right? The TFA Listener League. And I can't remember how that played out.
I won the thing.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Well,
it's me.
Okay? I would have skipped over that question had I remember that. We should probably play in more leagues together.
Yeah, I think next year maybe we should do a bunch of listener leagues if everybody would be interested in it.
Yeah, for sure. I think with between the groups that we have on Slack and the listeners and the community that we're growing on YouTube, I think we can get some really fun leagues going. Jared Boss 69,
Will Fuller
or Hasty, Will Fuller. Inceptivus _1. What running back can I get trading Devontae Freeman and Parker?
Not a whole lot. Devontae Freeman's out. He's hurt. I think even when he comes back, I don't know if he's Wayne Gallman may have just Wally pipped him and took his job from him. So I don't think you're going to be able to get a whole lot for Devontae Freeman. Is that? And I'm assuming that's Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
I think you could probably, with adding him into it, possibly you might be able to get like a Zach Moss type running back somewhere in that kind of range. You're not going to get a ton for him.
Clutch Nut, I guess you must have missed when Kev responded to this, but what I would suggest doing is looking at your league, finding somebody who is either struggling and kind of like right outside of that playoff picture, or look for someone who is wide receiver needy and kind of go through it there. And you can always just drop a comment on any of our videos. We get a notification. Then once you have a clearer picture on what you might be looking for Thielen, drop a question, and that goes for everyone, obviously. And we will always do our best to respond to all those. Let's finish this out and get out of here. Is AB going to ball out like a wide receiver?
I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't expect it right out the gate. So I like Antonio Brown. I think he's going to bounce back. But yeah, I think eventually, I think you're going to see the AB of old. And Walito, I will fucking take your fucking lunch money. Okay, talking shit all the time. All right, let's get a listener league going, and then I'll make you my bitch. All right.
Well, that
if you're not competitive, I don't know what you're doing. Like that's why we play fantasy football, right? Because we're competitive people. So love you, Walito, but I'm gonna win.
All right, guys. We'll definitely look into that. Like I said, tomorrow the DFS pod is going to be going live. I think we have something fun planned for Friday. I think we're going to try something a little scary, a little crazy. It might be awesome. It might be awful. But what I would suggest is make sure that you are following us on Twitter at @FF_authority. We will be dropping the stuff for you to know we're kind of getting at here. Other than that, we'll be going live, like I said, Thursday for the DFS, Friday, I believe, as well. And then for sure, Sunday morning is be you guys ready for the week. So I appreciate you guys joining. If you're still rocking with us, we really appreciate that. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so. You can find Kevin on Twitter at FantasyRat13. You can find myself on Twitter at CKutzerFF, and we will talk to you guys.
And all I was going to say is we hit 600 subscribers, so appreciate it. Thank you. Now we're on to 700. I appreciate all you guys and all the support we've been getting all year. We continue to piss off our family because we spend less time with them and we do more of these. But it's for you guys, so we appreciate every one of you, each one of the subscribers. And like you said, we will answer every one of your questions. And I am terrible about writing back a book to people. So if you get like an entire paragraph back, that's probably for me because it's all my thoughts in my head of kind of walking through things. So I try not to be like impersonable with people. Like you'll ask questions, someone just says like, Julio, like or whatever, like a one-word response, like thanks, Dick. Thanks for helping me out with your one-word response there. All right, I understand what's going on in your head. So, anyways,
that's it. The show goes on the road to 700. We will talk to you guys soon. Bye.